The Papeete is a 14-ton, 22-metre va'a, or double-hulled sailing canoe that voyaged here all the way across the Pacific from Tahiti to participate in the Tuia 250 commemorations. Several weeks ago, I was given the opportunity to spend 4 days on board Papeete as a trainee, sailing from Whangaparaoa to Anaura Bay on the east coast of the North Island. Ko tapuai o nuku te maunga, ko wairau te awa, ko kurahopo te waka, ko omaka te marae, ko Ngāti koe rangitani me Ngāti apa ki te rato o Kuiwi. Kia ora everyone, my name is Keelan Walker. I'm a filmmaker from Blenheim and this is my journey on board the Va'a Papeete. So it all started for me here in Mount Maunganui, Tauranga. I flew in from Blenheim the day before we were scheduled to board Papeete and spent a night here. The next morning I met up with several other trainee crew members before we were all driven to Whangaparaoa, the place where we would actually begin our voyage. Whangaparaoa Marae was about a 2-hour drive from Tauranga and is located at a place also known as Cape Runaway. When we arrived there was a short mihi whakatau so that we could all familiarise ourselves with one another, the host iwi, waka crew and other Tuia participants. From there, all of us jumped onto a bus and were driven several k's up the road to where we would get our first view of the waka fleet. About 60 of us completed the short 20-minute climb to a nearby vantage point. From here, the local iwi shared some of the kōrero of their area and a karakia was done. When the ceremony was over, the fleet anchored below was signalled that it was time to set sail by the sounding of several pūtatara, a traditional instrument made from a shell that resembles a horn, and by the playing of the pahu, a traditional Tahitian drum. There were 3 waka that made up the fleet at this stage: Haunui, Ngā Hiraka Mai Tawhiti and Papeete. So at this stage of the trip I'm thinking I'm just really keen to get on board and check out where I'm going to be spending the next 4 days. After a 45-minute drive east, we arrived at Hicks Bay. We unloaded our gear onto the beach and waited for the support boats to come and collect us and take us out to the waka. On our way out to Papeete, we could hear ukuleles. The Tahitians had prepared a traditional welcome for us. This is Leanne Mercer. She was the other trainee on board with me.
So kia ora everyone, I'm Leanne Mercer and I'm very privileged to be a part of this journey on the waka Papeete.
Her husband Beau was stationed on Ngā Hiraka, the other waka which was anchored about 20 metres away from us. The first day of all 4 days was probably the toughest. It rained, it was 40, 50, 60 knot winds and there wasn't a lot to do. In fact, it was so miserable, I remember thinking to myself, I really don't want to be here. For most of the night before, I had done my first watch, from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. At times we would look across at the other waka and think, are things any better over there? To make things worse, I decided I'd try and put my drone up and get some aerial footage. I ended up crashing it into the mast of the waka that was anchored 20 metres away from us. Finally, at the end of the day, the sun came out and we all enjoyed about 10 minutes of sunshine warmth. But it didn't last long, and when the sun had gone down, the cold temperatures came back to haunt us all. The best news of the day came when the land crew informed us we would be able to depart early the next morning. After another night on late watch, I finally got to sleep around 3 p.m.
All good.
No
Come
problem.
on, come on.
There's no way I wanted to get up at that stage. When I came out onto the deck, I could see the navigators were preparing for the day's journey. I was also told that departure would be delayed. Unfortunately, the other waka was experiencing some problems. They suspected that when my drone had crashed into the mast the day before, it had damaged some wires and was causing a power shortage. After about 2 hours of delay, we finally figured it out. Thank God it wasn't the drone. We left Hicks Bay just before the sun started to rise. Eventually, when it came up over the horizon, it was an awesome sight. In fact, it completely made me forget about how cold I was the day before. It all seemed worth it now. As we sailed out around the peninsula, the waves got bigger. Papeete was able to surf on many of the waves. We also decided to chuck a line out and see if we could catch some lunch. I was hoping for a few kingfish, but the Tahitians, who hadn't tasted fresh fish since the time they arrived, were happy for anything. Within a few minutes we'd hooked a kahawai. Everybody was happy at this stage. Even though it was windy and even though it rained on and off all day, because we were out on the open sea, sailing, nobody seemed to care. Tuia, the cook for the crew, prepared the fresh kahawai as raw fish and served it up for lunch. In a few hours' time we would be entering into Anaura Bay. This would be the first stop of our journey.